Welcome to the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast. My name is Frank. I am the host of this show. On this podcast, I discuss and review movies new and old. You can watch this podcast live on both YouTube and Rumble. So if you want to subscribe to either one of those platforms, you'll get notifications when the show goes live. You can watch replays of the shows also on YouTube and Rumble. You can also see video replays on the Podcast X account at Bend Your Ear Pod. And you can also go to the Facebook page, Let Me Bend Your Ear Podcast. You can see the video replays there as well. You can listen to this show wherever you get your podcasts. It's on all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast. So you can listen to it at your leisure there. If you listen rather than watch, if you can please click and subscribe on that and subscribe to the video channels. I'm trying to grow the audience base. And of course, if you click subscribe on your podcast feed of choice, you'll get notifications when new episodes are uploaded to the feed. I am very excited about the movie I am reviewing tonight. It is Heat, directed by Michael Mann. Before we get into that, though, just a couple of housekeeping items. Like I said, if you want to contribute to the show, and of course, I actually didn't put the graphics up, there is a QR code I'm going to pop up here in a moment on the video. And you can click on that. That'll allow you to contribute to the show just to help defray some of the cost of running the show. And you can also go to the X page and click on the tip jar there. You'll be able to contribute that way as well. If you can do that, that's great. I want to say thank you to everyone that's downloaded episodes. Since I've tried to make a concerted effort to get more episodes out more regularly, I have seen an uptick in the downloads, so I really appreciate that. If you like what you've been listening to, please recommend it to a friend. Anyone that's looking for a movie podcast, maybe to listen to, something to pass the time. So I want to thank everybody that's been listening. I want to thank the loyal people that have been listening to the show and or watching the show in the video format. So thank you for that. All right, so today I am going to be discussing and reviewing the 1995 movie Heat. If you are a movie fan of any kind, you know this movie. This movie is considered a classic crime thriller, and I'm going to discuss it momentarily. Before I do, though, Michael Mann, who is a fabulous writer-director who debuted with 1981's Heat with James Caan. I've reviewed two other films directed by Michael Mann, so I just want to direct you to those episodes as well if you want to listen to that after you listen or watch this episode. I reviewed and discussed the 1986 film Manhunter that he directed, starring William L. Peterson. Obviously, the first iteration of Hannibal Lecter, based on the novel Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. That's episode 78, if you want to go into the back catalog and listen to that. I've also reviewed Thief, which came out in 1981, again, starring James Caan, Jim Belushi. Great movie as well. That's episode 144, if you want to go there. So episode 78 for Manhunter, episode 144 for Thief, the other two Michael Mann films I have reviewed. So let's get into it. So in rewatching Heat, I hadn't watched Heat probably, it's been a long time. Saw it in the movies when it came out in 95. Loved it then. Spoiler alert on my review of this movie, but I rewatched it last week, and a couple of things I want to point out about the movie right off the bat. So I know the movie's an epic crime saga film set in LA. It has a huge cast. I forgot how big this cast is. And if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I'm a huge fan of character actors. So actors that are in a bunch of movies, bunch of television, that every time you see them, they add to a movie. And this movie is so deep with character actors, it's almost ridiculous. So I'm just going to run through the cast as I know off the top of my head, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some. So, of course, you have Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. So, of course, when the movie came out, that was the big thing. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino acting together in the same movie for the first time since Godfather 2, even though they didn't share the screen there, where they're going to actually share the screen in this movie. And we'll get into that as I get deeper into the review of Heat. But you've got that to start with. You've got Val Kilmer, Tom Sizemore, Ashley Judd, Michael T. Williamson, Tom Noonan, William Fincher, Danny Trejo. I forgot that the gentleman that played Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs, and who was in Monk. Now, of course, I'm forgetting his name. I'm going to pull the cast list up because I thought I would remember it all off the top of my head. But Ted Levine. You've got Wes Studi, who was in Dances with Wolves, Amy Brenneman, Jon Voight, Hank Azaria. You got Henry Rollins. I forgot Tone Loc was in the movie. Jeremy Piven, Xander Berkeley. I'm rattling off names of phenomenal actors. Dennis Haysbert. So that's the first thing in rewatching this movie that just struck me, how deep this cast is. And in an early role, Natalie Portman is one. I'll get into her specifically a little bit later because that's one of the few criticisms I have of Heat, but I'll get into that later. So that cast is phenomenal. That's unbelievable. The amount of people in this film that populate this film and inhabit the world that Michael Mann created. So obviously Michael Mann wrote and directed this movie. And the other thing I had forgotten when I was doing some quick research before I jumped on was, and I just found this out probably within the last year or so, I think probably when I was reviewing Manhunter. He wrote this script back in 1979, and this story actually was made into a movie before, a television film called LA Takedown. And it was supposed to be set up as a pilot for a series. The pilot wasn't picked up. And as a result, Michael Mann took the script and turned it into a feature film, which would ultimately become Heat. So I think LA Takedown is available to watch. I might actually, just for fun, watch that movie and review it for the podcast to contrast it with this movie. Because I'm interested to see the story elements that are there, that are not there, what's the same, what's different. So I'm interested in checking that out as well. So I will do that. So Heat is about basically a homicide robbery detective played by Al Pacino, Hannah, and a master thief played by Robert De Niro, Neil McCauley. Now, at the beginning of Heat, the gang that Neil runs pulls off a robbery where they steal, and one of my favorite things about movies, and I think I still don't know the definition because you see it in Die Hard, you see it in a lot of these movies in the late 80s and 90s, is the bearer bonds, the bearer bonds theft. So obviously Hans Gruber in Die Hard was getting the bearer bonds. They steal the bearer bonds. Like, I'm assuming, I still don't, I think I looked into it one time. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Basically it's something you can steal, and it's, I don't know if it's untraceable. Obviously it's attractive for high level thieves to steal. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, they pull off this big heist, and Neil McCauley is very intelligent, very strategic, has everything planned out. He's working with the same gang. Now, in this particular heist at the beginning of Heat, they had to bring in somebody new. And that comes into play as the story unfolds. So that's the two main characters. And then, you have the robbery homicide detective and his group. You have Neil McCauley and his group of robbers. Now, one of the things about Heat, and one of the main things about Heat that is fantastic, a couple things, but the main thing I want to start with first is what makes this movie epic and so well written is you have major characters and minor characters given space to have stories told in the film. I'm going to bring up Dennis Haysbert for a second. So his part is very small. He plays an ex-con that has just come out of prison. He's on parole. He's working a crappy job at a diner, restaurant place. The boss is an a-hole. He's got a girlfriend, I think fiance, that loves him, that's so happy that he's out. And he's trying to walk the straight and narrow. And he cross paths with McCauley later in the film to do something at the last minute. And he's got to make the decision whether he's going to go to that life or stick on the path of trying to stay on the straight and narrow. And it's characters like that, small characters, that get attention paid to them, and it just enriches and adds to the layers of what makes Heat so fantastic. You get the major character stories, you get the minor character stories, and how they intertwine, and things that happen in their life in this bigger world of cops and robbers, for the simplistic way to put it. With Hannah, Al Pacino's character, he is his character and Neil's character are similar in a lot of ways. In a lot of these movies, you have that dynamic between the bad guy and the good guy, the cop chasing the bad guy. A lot of their personality traits kind of are similar. Hannah's very smart, very dedicated, very obsessed. Neil is very smart, very dedicated. He's obsessed in a different way about not making mistakes. And the other thing that runs through the movie that I love when I rewatched it again is when you're a criminal, no matter how smart you are, because it's plainly spelled out in the movie. Macaulay's been in jail before. All of his gang that robs with him have been in prison before. They're all convicts previously. So no matter how smart you are, no matter how clever you are, you get caught, or you get caught early on and you become better at what you're doing. But in dealing in that world of criminality and thievery and the people you have to deal with in that world, you could be a genius, but inevitably you're putting your trust in people that are not reliable. So eventually that comes, if you keep continuing the crimes, eventually it's going to catch up with you. And that's a big theme for me when I rewatched Heat, because the thing that's also great about Heat as well is everybody in the movie is smart. Okay, the cops are smart, the robbers are smart. They're trying to outwit each other, and that's most of the fun of watching Heat. There's is the chess cat and mouse game between Hannah and Macaulay as he's trying to catch Macaulay. Macaulay's trying to keep from getting caught. And of course, if you've seen the trailer or watched Heat, you know, his philosophy in life, you know, he lives in a house by the ocean. There's nothing in it. And of course, he has the famous line in the movie, you know, you have to be ready at a moment's notice. You know, Macaulay says somebody gave him that advice when he was younger, that at a moment's notice, when you feel the heat around you, that you can leave in 2 minutes, leave everything behind and be gone. That's his life philosophy. Now, the problem with that with him is with his team, Val Kilmer's character, Tom Sizemore, the things that are different is his entire team has significant others, girlfriends and or wives that they love, that they care for. And he, on the other hand, is on his own until he meets a graphic designer played by Amy Brenneman and starts a relationship during the course of the movie. But before then, he was a loner. He had it that way just to bolster his philosophy of getting the hell out of town if the cops even sniff that he's involved with something. So that's really the strength of Heat. Like I said, everybody is smart. Everybody makes choices based on calculated things. But as I stated earlier, when you're in this world for long enough time, you're going to make a mistake, or someone around you is going to make a mistake that's going to have collateral damage. And it's just fascinating to watch that work. And like I said, you have the late Tom Noonan, who just passed away recently, who played, who was the serial killer in Manhunter. He's in this film. He's just phenomenal. He's in the movie for 5 minutes, and he's fantastic. And that's one of the joys and pleasures of watching Heat, is just seeing great actors get great scenes to do, even if it's only one scene in the movie. And it's just scene after scene after scene of fantastic actors giving fantastic performances in a very layered crime drama. It's phenomenal. And watching it again after such a long period of time, it's just so great. It's such a great movie. And it's funny because I know I've seen Christopher Nolan directly reference Heat when he talks about The Dark Knight. And it's so funny when you see the opening of The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight is essentially a crime drama, to Christopher Nolan saying that basically and said outright that Heat was a huge influence on that film. And if you've seen The Dark Knight, it is, and you see all the influences of that film, of Heat, on The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight, just like Heat, is basically a city-based crime drama. LA for Heat. Well, I think he shot Dark Knight in Chicago, but just that dynamic and the elements of both of those movies are strikingly similar, and for all the right reasons. That's why The Dark Knight is so phenomenal. But Heat is just, from beginning to end, the movie is 2 hours and 50 minutes long. It doesn't feel like it at all. It's paced so well from one scene to the next. From it's a joy to watch it. It really, really is. It's a phenomenal film. And of course, if there's two centerpiece set pieces in the movie, one of action and one for dialogue. So I'll go with the action sequence. So obviously, as the movie progresses, Macaulay realizes that Hannah's team is after him, and the heat is on. So they have to make a critical decision. Do they have information to rob a bank and get $12 million? So the decision is: do we do it and then get the hell out of Dodge, or do we not do it and leave now while the getting's good? So they make the decision to rob the bank. And this is the centerpiece action sequence of Heat. Anybody that's seen the movie, not seen the movie, you've seen elements of that scene in somewhere on X, on a meme, on a video clip. I don't know how many times I see the video clip of Val Kilmer with the machine gun trying to escape once they exit the bank. That scene, of course, is phenomenal. One of the best action sequences in any film, which I think directly, going back to The Dark Knight, directly influences the opening of The Dark Knight with the robbery sequence that opens the film, which is spectacular and dazzling and visually phenomenal. So I think that's a direct influence from Heat, a direct even homage, if you will, to Heat, rightfully so. The second set piece, fantastic, of course, is the diner scene with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. So that's just a scene in a diner, two guys talking to each other. One, Hannah telling Macaulay, I got to catch you. We're similar. Macaulay telling Hannah, well, I'm not going to get caught. Your job is to catch me. My job is just to make sure that doesn't happen. And it's just two actors, I'm sure, having a ball. And the scene is fantastic. And those are the two centerpiece sequences of the film. But the genius of Heat and the beauty of that movie is those two sequences occur separate times in the film. And it's not those two sequences and then everything else is just filler. Everything from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie is riveting. It's fantastic. It's, like I said, the movie is phenomenally paced. For a movie that to almost kick to 3 hours, and you don't feel one drag of anything, nothing. I'll get to my minor criticism in a moment, but even that doesn't detract from how great this movie is. So my one criticism of the movie, and I didn't even remember this from the first time I saw it, I forgot that Natalie Portman was in the film. I'm a fan of Natalie Portman. She's a very good actress. She plays the stepdaughter of Al Pacino's character. So Al Pacino's on his third wife, played by Diane Venora. She's kind of a hot mess. Their marriage is a hot mess. He's never home. He's obsessed with catching bad guys. So he's not a great husband. So the blame is playing to go around. So Natalie Portman is a stepdaughter. She's obviously troubled. Hannah's concerned about her. The mom is kind of, checked out of everything. The marriage, kind of raising her, and she's just kind of on her own. You can see that she's depressed. And for me, unfortunately, though, that's the one character I thought was completely unnecessary in Heat. If she was not there, and it was just him and the third wife, that tells that story, his part of his personal life, I thought sufficiently. I thought the Natalie Portman character was annoying, superfluous, and added nothing to the movie. If she was gone from the movie, it wouldn't impact the movie at all. So that's my one. Oh, that's my only criticism of Heat, but it didn't detract from the point where it marred anything else. So, and on the rewatch, like I said, I had forgotten she was in it. So obviously she wasn't that memorable to me in the first time I saw it, but it definitely to me just didn't need to be there. Amy Brenneman as the love interest of Macaulay, Robert De Niro's character, she's great. I mean, everybody's great. Jon Voight is fantastic. It all of it works. The cinematography, the action sequences, the score, the scenery around LA. I mean, it's an LA movie. I think the tagline "L.A. crime epic L.A. crime drama" is the exact term for that film. And I discussed and reviewed "To Live and Die in L.A." a couple of episodes back, the William Friedkin film with William Peterson, another L.A. crime saga story, another crime movie, which I liked. I gave a 3.5 star review of that one. I saw it a long time ago. Same thing. When I rewatched it, I didn't like it as much as I did the first time. Heat is the opposite. It, Watching it again just confirms what a classic film this is. It is one of the best crime movies ever made. Uh, is it Michael Mann's best film? That's the other question that I have to ask myself, because his body of work is phenomenal. And there's a movie, and I will review it for the podcast at some point in the future. Uh, the more and more I think about it, and I forget about it sometimes, which is The Insider, with Pacino again and Russell Crowe, based on the true story of the tobacco whistleblower. And Pacino plays a producer on 60 Minutes. Christopher Plummer's in the film as Mike Wallace, the 60 Minutes anchor. I will revisit that movie because that movie, spoiler alert, is fantastic as well. If anybody says Heat is his masterpiece, I'm not going to argue with you. But there's so many good movies he's made, that are just phenomenal. But Heat is, from beginning to end, rewatchable, unbelievably well acted, unbelievably well directed, with a fantastic script. And like I said, it's very rare where you get a film, and most good films with larger casts that are great have this in common. The minor characters get as much care in the story as the major characters. And Heat is a perfect example of that. Like I said, everybody gets a chance to shine. And in that, and this is the thing that impresses me the most, because when you have a lot of characters in a film, there is a danger of too many characters. The movie's overstuffed, and some things get short shrift, some things get too much. That doesn't happen here in Heat. I said, taking the Natalie Portman criticism aside, and she's not even in the movie that much, every character gets a chance to shine in the movie, and it does not ever slow down the movie. The movie momentum from beginning to end is consistently kept, regardless of what characters you're diving into in the story. It never stops the momentum of the movie. And that's the biggest compliment I can pay to Heat, which is, a testament to Michael Mann's script, the actors he picked to play these characters, and his direction of the film. And however he edited it, I don't know what the director's cut of this movie would have been. I don't know what his first cut of Heat was. I would imagine it would have been well over 3 hours. So I don't know, to cut it down to 250, which is still a long movie, and for it not to even feel that way at all. Like I said, watching it again, it was just a joy to watch. And it's just phenomenal work from everybody. So based on what I've just said here, I am going to give Heat 5 stars out of 5. So of course, on that, it's a classic. It's rewatchable. It's an all-timer. So there's nothing. I gave you my minor criticism, but that's not even enough to knock a half star from me. It's a 5-star film. If you are a fan of action drama, forget about that. If you're a fan of good movies, this is a movie to watch. It's fantastic, and it holds up fantastically. And like I said, if you've seen The Dark Knight and have not seen Heat, if you love The Dark Knight, you will love Heat. And you will see the direct influences on Christopher Nolan from this film by Michael Mann. So again, I am giving Heat, written and directed by Michael Mann, from 1995, 5 stars out of 5. It's an all-timer, folks. It is a movie that I can give no higher recommendation than you must see it if you have not seen it. And if you haven't seen it in a long time, pop it in and watch it. It is an all-time classic. So I was glad to rewatch it. It's fun to review movies like this. I don't have many 5-star movies on my list of the movies I've reviewed for the podcast. I've given my top 5 movies that I think that have made me love movies. Those are all 5-star movies to me. I'll go over them at another time. I've said them a few times on here, but Heat is an all-timer. So again, Michael Mann's Heat, 5 stars out of 5. And the exciting news, he wrote a novel. If you're not aware, he wrote a sequel novel to Heat. So actually, I haven't read it, but from what I understand, it's both. It's kind of like Godfather 2, ironically. It's both. It talks about the past before the first Heat movie, and it talks about the future after Heat. So there's two stories going on. So from what I understand, the movie is going to be going into production with Michael Mann directing and writing. I know he co-wrote the novel with another author. I don't remember who the author is, but from what I understand, it's going to have Christian Bale. I heard Al Pacino's coming back. And I think Austin Butler. I'm sure it's going to have a cast, and I think Adam Driver as well, who Michael Mann directed in Ferrari. So that's exciting. It's going to be hard to top the first movie. That's a tough act to follow. But look, if it's coming out, I'm going to be there to watch it for sure in the movie theaters. So again, Heat, written and directed by Michael Mann, 5 stars out of 5. See it as soon as you can, or rewatch it and just enjoy the greatness of that film. All right, again, I want to thank everybody that's listened to and watched the show. As I stated at the top, my commitment to making more episodes, I'm slowly getting there. I'm getting them definitely more frequently. We're not doing the once a month thing anymore. I'm still not at the once a week point yet, but I'm going to strive to get there. I may try to sneak another episode in this weekend if I can. Don't know if I'll be able to, but that's why I wanted to do this one today. And I was excited to discuss Heat with everybody. So if you want to email the show, the email is bendyourearpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to contribute, all right, up here on the left, to see the nice little QR code, or you can go to the tip jar on X. The X account is @BendYourEarPod. That is also the handle for Instagram, the handle at YouTube if you want to subscribe to the video channel, and on Rumble as well. Like I said, you can watch the show live on Rumble and YouTube. You can watch replays on X and on the Facebook page of the videos, or you can listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. So if you listen, please, 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 if you could subscribe, rate, and review, that'll help raise the profile of the show. That is my goal for 2026, to raise the profile of the podcast, to engage more people, to grow the audience in both the audio and the video format. So if you could do that, that'd be great. If you could, on YouTube and or Rumble, if you could subscribe, even if you listen to the podcast and don't watch the video, that's okay. I'm still trying to build a subscriber base, because what you can do when you subscribe there, you have the option of either getting live notifications if the show goes live and you want to watch it live, or just click the notifications off. You still will be a subscriber. You won't get notifications when the show goes live, but it'll be there to watch at your leisure. And again, I'm trying to build that subscriber and viewer base as well to build a foundation for the audio podcast as well. This is always primarily an audio podcast. I've added the video component because, one, it's fun to do, and two, just to kind of help build the like I said, the subscriber base and just the reach of the podcast, because people do consume things, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram. And like I said, I'll be and actually Instagram is where I'll be posting videos now. I was able to finally hopefully figure out Instagram where I can post the entire episode up. I did that for the last episode, Prisoners. So if you watch your content on Instagram, at least starting with the last episode, hopefully with this one, when I get it there, it'll be on Instagram as well. So if that's your preferred method of watching things, I'm there as well at Bend Your Ear Pod. So again, thank you to everyone that supported the show. Like I said, if you love it, like it, please share it. Share my post on X. Subscribe to the show as many places as you can. YouTube, Rumble, wherever you get your audio podcasts. And like I said, and subscribe for notifications where you prefer to listen to it. But if you can hit all of those for me, that would be great. Rate and review if you can. But like I said, if you can't support the show monetarily, the easiest and freest way to do it, that doesn't cost you anything, is just click subscribe. Click subscribe on the video and the audio feeds. That helps me a ton, and that helps the show a ton. So again, I enjoy doing this. I love it. That's why I've been doing it, since 2018, and I'm going to continue to do it. So thank you, everybody that's watching and listening and downloading the episodes. I really, really appreciate it. And I see it, and I know you're out there. I see you downloading it, and I just want to share my appreciation. I always appreciate that. Whether it's 1 or 1,000 or 5 or 10, it doesn't matter. I love it, and hopefully you can help me grow the show. You're going to be the reason that the show grows. So thank you. So again, let me wrap up here. Heat, 1995, directed and written by Michael Mann. 5 stars out of 5. Please go watch it. Enjoy yourself. It's a fantastic movie. And again, I hope to have another episode up hopefully very shortly. And again, thank you so much. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see everybody really soon. Take care.